Oh, we're spooning?
Ooh.
Just getting right in there with the spoon.
It's because there's no carbs in there.
That's what I said in the last video. I said, no carbs for Andy. He like barely would eat my orecchiette. So let's see. This is hanger steak with charred scallion walnut sauce. First thing you should know is hanger steak is a really delicious, quick cooking cut of beef that's perfect for weeknights. There's only one on a cow, one per cow. So if you can't find it at your butcher, it's because someone else probably already got it. The other part of this recipe is the charred scallion walnut sauce, which is basically comprised of all pantry ingredients, plus fresh scallions, which we're charring in the skillet after the steak comes out. First up, the crushing the walnuts, which I feel like I've done in many videos now, but the best way to crush a nut is to grab a heavy bottomed glass and just crush with the bottom on a rimmed baking sheet so they don't go anywhere. And then we're gonna toast those at 350 for about 8 minutes until they're roasty toasty. In the meantime, I'm gonna season this steak. So it's gonna get seasoned with salt, obviously. Lots of black pep, lots of Aleppo pep, which is a mild dried chili flake. Instead of adding the olive oil to the pan before I cook it, I am gonna rub these steaks in olive oil. That way, there's not as much leftover oil that's swimming around in the super, super hot cast iron pan that's causing billows of smoke in your apartment and setting off the fire alarm. So I did that for you. I mean, now they're toasted. So these are going straight into a small bowl, and then immediately I'm gonna grate raw garlic over them, and the heat from the walnuts is going to mellow out this garlic and essentially cook it. And then we just add a little bit of olive oil to juice it all up, and this is gonna be the base of our sauce. So just stirring this raw garlic into this oil and letting it kind of mellow out and bloom in there in the meantime. Okay, this has been preheating over medium-low. I'm gonna kick it up a little bit here. And I'm gonna put the fattest piece of steak in first because it will obviously take the longest to cook. When you get the hanger steak from the butcher, it usually comes in one piece and there's a membrane that runs through it. I cut that out here. It's pretty tough. If you don't want to cut it out, just ask your butcher to do it for you. Okay, this has had a jump start, so now I'm gonna add these other two steaks into the same skillet, and I'm just gonna let them cook. I'm not gonna touch them even though I really want to, but I know that the best crust is going to come from the least amount of interference. These are gonna cook for 10 to 12 minutes depending on how thick they are, so we'll keep an eye on them. Okay, I'm gonna flip. Definitely don't touch a steak like this at home. I just have no feeling in my fingers anymore, so I can do it. Just propping this guy up on his side because he has a bit of a triangular shape, so I want to get all sides of him caramelized. The steaks are all resting, and I'm just going to set them aside and give them a good 5 or 10 minutes to rest. I'm just going to wipe out the skillet because there's some burned bits in here, and then add these scallions back into it. A little bit of oil just to get them going. And then I have a bunch here of whole scallions. So you can see that their root is still intact. That's okay, we're gonna cut it off later. If you aren't charring scallions, you're really missing out. This is one of life's greatest pleasures. Tossing them around. They char really fast. You can see they're already starting to take on color. Just gonna season them with some salt. These are gonna cook for like 4 minutes. Flipping them all. Just moving them around every couple of minutes. Who doesn't love a charred scallion? Name me one person that doesn't love a charred scallion. I'm gonna just chop up a couple of cornichons. This sauce is sort of French in its ingredients. It has cornichon and caper and thyme and whole grain mustard, and it was a bit inspired by my love of the dish leeks and vinaigrette, that classic poached leek dish. I'm gonna add these chopped cornichon into the bowl of garlicky walnuts. I have a tablespoon of chopped capers. Toss that through. It's a tablespoon of whole grain mustard, my favorite kind. 3/4 of a teaspoon of chopped thyme, fresh bien sûr. a pinch of sugar just to balance out all of that acid and brininess from all those ingredients, and 5 teaspoons of sherry vinegar. Just all in a line, slicing off the hairy bits. And then I'm just cutting them into small pieces. It is taking everything I have in me not to just faceplant into these right now. So I'm going to season this with a little bit of salt and black pepper and then toss it all together. Moment of truth, we're slicing the steak against the grain. Okay, so it's perfectly medium rare. Okay, so if you want to get that nice fanned out effect, you could do it on the cutting board and kind of shingle the steak. And then you can go in with a spatula to pick it up and plate it. Another little trick of the trade. And I'm going to spoon some of this Yum Scrum charred scallion walnut sauce over it and call it a day. And then I'm going to finish it with little flaky salt, as I always do, and a sprinkle of additional Aleppo pepper if you like. So that's your very simple steak with charred scallion walnut sauce. I think the whole thing took 30 minutes. Che Bebe! You guys need to meet my friend Che Bebe.
Oh my god.
Welcome.
It looks so beautiful.
I know. Che was the editor on this story, so she knows the steak very well. Have a bite, please. It might be a little salty because I did like Malden, and then I did more Malden, and then I did more Malden from the camera guy, and yada yada. And tell me your thoughts.
It was as delicious as the first time you made it.
True that.
I've also been waiting for this text message for like 4 hours.
Oh, that's true. I said be on standby for steak.